I'm Eric Sussman. I'm Director of Compliance for Colas Inc., my current position. I've been with the group almost 40 years. Next year it will be 40. I just want to talk about my journey and my path, which is a little bit different than some of the other stories you might have seen. I started with Allied Chemical back in 1978. And one of the companies that I was working on, there were a multitude of them, was Barrett Paving. So that was my first familiarity with Barrett Paving. I believe it was March of 1979. Allied Chemical got a new chairman of the board. And this chairman of the board decided he was going to divest all the non-high-tech companies within Allied Chemical. Starting in September of '79, they started laying off about 3,000 people, of which I was one of them. And they also helped you find future employment. So I found another job. In late 1980, about a year later, an old friend of mine from high school, oddly enough, was a COBOL programmer at Barrett Paving. And he said to me, by the way, Barrett Paving is looking for staff accountants. And I said, I know that company. So I sent my resume in, got an interview, and on September 1st, 1980, only 9 months after the acquisition of Barrett by Colas, which was the first company in the US, I started as a staff accountant. Back in 1980, when I came to Barrett, 3 Becker Farm Road was the only office building that was standing there at the time. So the rest of it was actually Becker's farm. He had crops, animals, including cows and sheep and goats. And there was this big fence by the parking lot. So what a lot of people did at lunchtime is they went outside and they actually fed the cows at lunchtime. Not only did Barrett change over these years, but as an aside, my hair also changed. When I first came to Barrett, I actually had curly hair and a mustache. Don't ask about the curly hair. A number of years later, I actually decided to grow a ponytail, add an earring, and still keep the mustache. And right before I left Barrett, before I was transferred to another Colas company, I decided I would cut the hair, get rid of the mustache, and this really confused our children at the time. I'll never forget the first day I started at Barrett Paving, because I didn't go to the office. Back then, you had to do an all-day physical exam. And on day 2, which was a great day for me because I sat down in a cubicle, and right across the hallway from me was this beautiful young lady who in 1982 became my wife. So thank you, Barrett Paving, for letting me meet my wife. When I started, of course, at Barrett Paving, there was no Colas Inc., Colas USA. It wasn't until we purchased IA Construction, the second company, that the holding company of Colas Inc. was formed. In 1998, Colas doubled its size, or more than doubled its size, in the US by purchasing 5 companies: Reeves, Sloan, Sully-Miller, HRI, and Nello Tier. I was part of the team that went to HRI for the acquisition, and that was probably the most enjoyable thing that I had ever done, watching Colas double its size and being part of the huge acquisition. We had a 50 meg hard drive, which was the size of a washing machine. In 1985, the big thing was we got our first PC. And back then, An IBM personal computer went for approximately $5,000. And that was back in 1985 dollars, so it was outrageous. There are two things that come to mind. One is accuracy. Even though we were short on computer power in 1980 and we had to do a lot of things by hand, the accuracy of the financial statements were always stressed. The other thing that comes to mind over the years is the word fate. It's almost like I was fated to be with the Colas group. There were too many coincidences. If my old friend at high school hadn't told me a position in Barrett opened up, I never would have gone to Barrett in 1980. If I didn't go to Barrett in 1980, I never would have met my wife. If I hadn't been transferred to Pennsylvania, my son never would have met his wife in high school. So it just seems to be like a full circle, and it's just been an incredible journey over almost 40 years. And with that, I say end scene.